Down through the ages, the sea has always been a place of darkest mystery, and countless fables and legends have arisen to explain the riddles of its depths. To the ancients, the murky deep was populated by all manner of fanciful beings, ruled over by the great and powerful King Neptune with his retinue of regal attendants. To the mariners of old, the sea was the abode of fantastic serpents and monsters of all descriptions, their size and powers limited only by man's own vivid fancy. Today, though many of its legends have been dispelled or forgotten, the sea still remains the most mysterious realm on Earth. Occasionally, from its hidden depths, come intriguing shapes to tempt the imagination. Largest of all the sea's inhabitants are the giant whales. At certain seasons, they rendezvous in the sheltered waters of a quiet bay to choose a mate. Cautiously at first, they thrust their massive bulks into the open air as a prelude to their mysterious courting ritual. The distorted, half-seen silhouettes of other sea beasts also make ghostly visits to the surface. And yet, even when seen more clearly within its native element, the undulating rhythm of the manta ray only serves to cloak it in further unreality. Trackless waters wander unnumbered schools of fish, the nomads of the sea. No less intriguing are the tangled jungles of oceanic kelp beds. Stirred by the restless tides, they weave an aura of mystery all their own. Indeed, the secrets of the sea are numbered in every rock and shoal strewn across its sandy bottom. And yet, as legend, myth, and mystery dissolve into the forgotten past, truth emerges as even more fantastic. Here, on every foothold, on every ordinary rock and reef, are creatures out of fantasy. There are animals that look like plants, like the flowery anemone. For the anemone, survival is merely a matter of waiting. Like blossoms in a garden, the feather duster worms play the waiting game too. They sift out microscopic organisms called plankton from the water. Then when they've caught their fill, they simply bring it inside for dinner. The sea lily harvests plankton in a far more energetic way, as do the sand crabs, using especially adapted antennae. Plankton feeders, it seems, are everywhere, for they find their food in every drop of water. Many creatures, however, like the Spanish shawl, must swim from place to place to find their food. It's a member of the plumed sea slug family, which includes the hermacendas, who feed on spongy growths. But where they find sponges, they also find a larger slug, the navanax, a sort of seagoing vacuum cleaner. The hunting is good here. Competition soon arrives. But it seems that nothing is more appetizing to one navanax than another navanax. And their erstwhile dinner makes a hasty escape. Survival often depends upon deception. The pipefish do their best to simulate the drifting kelp until the proper moment. In patient immobility, the giant grouper simply waits for food to come within his range. There are other visitors to the reef who have all the characteristics of fantastic monsters. The 10-armed squid are capable of instant color change. And this talent often serves them as a convenient form of deception. Some predators are drawn to the reef for entirely different reasons, for there are residents here who do them a valuable service. The brightly marked French angel and the tiny Spanish hogfish scour parasites and other harmful growths from the fins and scales of these larger callers. The hogfish, in fact, is welcomed even by the fearsome barracuda. Near the rocks below, the barbershop shrimp, a sort of seagoing tonsorial artist, also makes his living cleaning fish. He's so popular that fish are actually known to wait in line for his attentions. Now, open wide, please. Of course, every creature on the reef must eat, but there's also another equally important problem: to avoid being eaten. The hermit crab's solution is to curl up inside a discarded snail shell. As long as he stays inside, he's out of danger. His safety is only temporary, however. For like a small boy outgrows his shoes, a hermit constantly outgrows his shell. And periodically, he's forced to hunt for larger quarters. Just the right size and shape isn't always available. And sometimes he has to make do with some awkward substitutes. It isn't often that a hermit finds exactly the shell he wants. And when he does, he's also sure to find a couple of neighbors who want it too. To every species, there comes a time when even the pressing problems of food and shelter become secondary. The time of reproducing. The squirrelfish express themselves with a peculiar mating dance. Nearby, a pair of kissing grunts stage another type of ceremony. And this is one time when a cold fish turns out to be a perfect mate. Occasional callers in these shallow waters are the bottle-nosed dolphins, who seldom visit here except when they're expecting young. Dolphins, being mammals, must breathe air, and for this they're equipped with a special passage called a blowhole behind their head. The business at hand is to keep the maternity ward free of intruders. This giant sea turtle isn't really a menace to anyone, but the dolphins aren't taking any chances. As if at a signal, the herd grows strangely quiet, vigilant. The expectant mother bides her time near the surface. And now, once again, the miracle of living reproduction. It's for the baby's safety that the dolphins visit the shallows, for at this time of his greatest peril, he must be quickly guided to the surface for his first breath of air. After the initial experience, he needs no further education. Both swimming and surfacing to breathe are instinct to him. There's one thing, though, that he has to find out for himself, where the food supply is located. The baby still needs the protection of the herd, for shallow waters also abound in sharks. The shark soon finds the young one far too well protected, and he's rudely hustled off. With the danger gone, there's time to play. But a baby dolphin has little opportunity for recreation, for soon the herd is on the move again, back to deeper water and their accustomed eating grounds. In strange contrast to the dolphins and their problems of maternity is the tiny seahorse. For in this family, the problem is one of paternity, and it's the father who bears the young. His mate lays several hundred eggs in the pouch below his chest, where they hatch and develop. Then, when the time is right, the babies come in quantity at first, but it seems there's always one holdout. By the time he finally joins his brothers on the family tree, father is exhausted. When it comes to raising, the octopus is more conventional, as all the chores are left up to the female. In the protection of a rocky grotto, she lays her eggs. To guard them from harmful fungus growths, she must pump a constant jet of water over them, and this duty keeps her completely occupied until they hatch. For a baby octopus, nothing is assured but the first meal, its own egg sac. After that, they must look out for themselves, for mother must return to her own problems of food and shelter. In her ravenous hunger, she has an eye for any opportunity, and her first victim is a giant snail. In the sea, the instinct for survival is compelling, and the conch fights back with surprising agility. But its struggles are in vain. And in time, the octopus not only has her meal, she has a bonus, for she finds a new home in the victim's shell. Among her neighbors are some pectins, members of the clam family. They've been endowed with the ability to swim, with a sort of jerky jet propulsion. most persistent enemy is the starfish. Its relentless strength can mean certain death, but its attack is so sluggish they have a chance to scatter. Escape from the starfish, however, doesn't always ensure survival. And now this pecten is picked on by a puffer. The puffer's bony jaw in time can crush the pecten's shell, but it never gets the tine. Not with a watchful octopus nearby. The puffer bravely tries to regain its prey. But when the octopus decides it too would make a meal, the puffer in self-defense simply inflates itself and becomes too big a mouthful. A close cousin to the manta is the stingray. Her patrol route takes her along the sandy fringes of the rocks, for it's only in the sand that she can hide effectively. Her young are born with this ability, for until they're grown, it's their primary key to survival. They're also born with an instinct to strike out on their own as soon as possible. Quite by accident, this one lands between a pair of jawfish. And for the moment at least, that's the end of his explorations. Jawfish are short-tempered little scavengers whose habit is to dig a burrow in the sand and then build a protective rampart of rocks and shells around the entrance. By himself, a jawfish is peaceable enough. The trouble is there are two of them and only rocks enough for one. They've both been working hard for some time now, yet their rock piles haven't seemed to grow at all, and each one is getting suspicious of the other. So far, their timing has been perfect. And although the threats and accusations have been flying, neither one can prove a thing. This time, there's no doubt. Jawfish like their privacy, and so no matter who happens along, the intruder is quickly ordered off the premises. The next annoyance is a serpent star, simple enough to take care of. But it's attracted the attention of a rock lobster, who's quick to recognize an easy meal. The star seeks shelter beneath a resting toadfish, but to no avail. The ensuing scuffle, though short, is long enough to draw the hungry eye of the queen triggerfish. Her bony jaw is especially built for the job of breaking shells. The prospect of a lobster dinner also attracts the ever-present opportunist of the reef, the octopus. lobster has no desire to become a meal for anyone, and the octopus is quick to leave in search of easier prey. Meantime, the fracas has aroused a group of crabs, who in turn attract the triggerfish again. Before she gets too close, however, the crabs go underground. From long experience, the triggerfish knows a way to scare one up again. Fate is against her, though. But once again, the octopus sees a chance to snare an easy meal. On the reef, however, stealing someone's prey is one thing, and eating it quite another. Now, a moray eel complicates the situation even more. The octopus' only chance is to sit tight and hide her vulnerable tentacles. But this time, luck is with her. For now, a second moray arrives to claim this territory for his own. In the sea, reprieves are short, and the free-for-all becomes even more complicated when a second octopus moves in. To the antagonists, this is a matter of life and death, a battle for survival. And yet in all the wide reaches of the sea, its outcome is actually of little consequence. For here a vast abundance of life will continue to exist and thrive. Now a school of manta rays draws a living curtain across the reef and obscures the scene of combat. And as these mantas hasten past, bound for some dark and unknown destination, they symbolize the many unsolved riddles that still abide beneath the tossing waves of this timeless, mysterious sea.